Since I love birth stories, it only makes sense that I would combine my love for birth stories with my love for the Tanner family. If you've been around this channel for any length of time, you know I love pregnancy, periods, all things women's health, and I love learning about these things in kind of a fun way, so I'm really excited to dive into this episode with you.
Well, move your fat feet. Don't you fat foot shame me. Fat feet built this country. Would you talk to Abe Lincoln or Little Richard that way? No. Are you two still having the same Abe Lincoln, Little Richard foot fight you had when I left? Her feet are so fat. You're a monster.
Poor Kimmy. Definitely fat feet are a part of pregnancy, especially towards the end. Our body is just retaining a lot of water. Now, I will say you want to make sure that the fat feet isn't accompanied by any type of a headache, that your blood pressure isn't running really high, because then these are signs of preeclampsia. But in general, fat feet and not being able to wear shoes comfortably is something that happens during our pregnancy, but you would want to check in with your doctor just to make sure there's nothing severely wrong there.
I got us 3 tickets to Hamilton. Hamilton? Great day in the morning.
Obviously, this scene was done to be hilarious. However, I would want to point out doing a cartwheel on a coffee table when you're pregnant or not pregnant, either way, is probably not the greatest idea, but definitely during pregnancy, especially at the end of pregnancy, we want to be super duper careful about the things that we're doing, and probably doing cartwheels off a coffee table would not be on the top of the recommended activity list.
Get started. Kimmy, calm down, okay? We are all excited. No, my water. I'm not paying $8 for water. No, my water just broke. The baby's coming. My baby? Now? In the theater? Oh, my labor. Okay, we have to get you to the hospital. Yeah. No, I'm not leaving. At least not until intermission. We are going. Fine.
First thing I want to say about this scene is DJ's hair is totally on point. I just love her hair. I don't know how she does it. I have taken so many pictures to my hairstylist and been like, I want this haircut. Never comes out like that. Either way, I think that's a user error. Has nothing to do with my hairstylist. The second thing I want to say about this scene is, oh my gosh, so exciting. It is always so fun when you get to the end of labor and you finally have some signs of labor. Now, I do want to be clear that even though her water breaking was Kimmy's first sign of labor, it doesn't appear that she's having any type of contraction, she's had any type of pain throughout the day, or any other signs of labor. And sometimes your water breaking is your first sign of labor, but many times it doesn't happen until later in the whole laboring process. So if you're like, my water hasn't broken, it's gonna be forever before I go into labor, don't worry, that is not always the first sign. The third thing I wanna say about the scene is that your water breaking isn't always a noticeable gush. Obviously in this scene, it's pretty apparent that there is no doubt her water is breaking, so it must have been a little bit of a rush or a gush. But this is not always the case. Sometimes your water breaks in just a little bit of a trickle. It's something slow. I know for me during my first pregnancy, I was like, oh, that felt kind of weird. Got up to go to the bathroom, there was some leaking. I was like, maybe that was it. Laid back down, got up again. There was a little more leaking. And I was like, okay, that was definitely my water breaking. I should probably call the nurse now. But it's not always a big gush. Now my sister, she actually shot through the underwear that she was wearing and got her husband like across the room. So hopefully she's not mad I just said that. Sometimes it is a very powerful thing when your water breaks, but it isn't always. So there's lots of variation in how your water can break. And then the last thing I want to say about this scene is that they were like, we have to go to the hospital right now. And it's kind of funny because Kimmy's like, no, I'm not leaving until intermission. But truly, they probably didn't have to leave until at least intermission, because when your water breaks, this is a sign that labor is coming. And okay, she probably didn't want to sit in her broken water through the show, but it isn't a sign that you need to like rush to the hospital. In fact, many people labor at home after their water breaks. This would be a good time to contact your physician's office or or whoever's that on-call number is, your midwife, whoever that person is, and let them know, hey, my water broke. And they'll probably ask lots of questions like, are you seeing other signs of labor? What else is going on? Most of the time, the general rule is after your water breaks, you do want to deliver within 48 hours. So your provider may want you to come in and start the induction process if you have no other signs of labor, or if you are noticing other signs of labor, you might want to try different things to get things moving. That's something you'll want to talk specifically with your provider, but just know that your water breaking doesn't mean that you're going to have your baby in the next 5 minutes or even the next hour. Sometimes your water breaking happens many, many hours, up to 48 hours before your baby is actually born.
DJ, go! Go! Oh, as God is my witness, I will not have another car baby! You're right. Plus, I just detailed my car.
Okay, now it's pretty obvious that Kimmy is having contractions, and at this point you would definitely want to be talking with your provider, maybe making your way to the hospital depending on how close together your contractions are. Typically there's the rule of when the contractions are 5 minutes apart, they're lasting for 1 minute, and this goes on for about an hour. It's time to make your way to the hospital.
There's nothing as magical as childbirth. Where's the doctor? The doctor should be here!
Contractions are so intense, and definitely Kimmy's reaction to contractions are no surprise, especially if she is getting close to that laboring time. Oh, they just get so intense. It's hard to say from this scene, but typically they don't come that close together. If she was really having a contraction with one scream and the next, typically they're a few minutes apart, and they do last about a minute, and there's kind of a wave to the contraction, so it starts out a little bit, gets really intense, and then slowly works back down. But usually they are a few minutes apart, even up to the very last thing, to the point of delivering, unless you're having back-to-back contractions, and that's a whole nother story, but very intense. We obviously have no clue what type of birth class Kimmy has taken from this scene, but there are lots of ways that you can breathe to work your way gently through contractions, and hopefully they're not near as painful as what they are appearing to be in this scene. Breathing, using different affirmations, changing positions, having a partner or a doula put pressure in different areas of your body can help tremendously deal with the very, very uncomfortable parts of having contractions.
Kimmy Gibbler? I'm Dr. Miller. I'll be delivering your baby. Wait, where's Dr. Cohen? He's supposed to deliver the baby. Funny story. Dr. Cohen signed up for the lottery for Hamilton, and he got seats way up in the back. And he would have come, but then 3 hayseeds walked out and left 3 perfectly good front row seats. Well, one of those seats ain't so perfectly good. I don't know you. I don't know your favorite color. Do you watch The Bachelor? Do you have opinions on breakfast toast? My favorite color is yellow. My favorite bachelor was Juan Pablo, and I don't mean to brag, I don't mean to boast, but I like hot butter on my breakfast toast. I think this is a good one.
Completely understandable that Kimmy is nervous having someone else deliver your baby. Unfortunately, the way it typically goes is throughout your pregnancy, you're seeing one provider. This is my exact experience with my first delivery. I saw the same OBGYN from the same practice every single appointment, and then when it came time to deliver my baby, she was off that week on vacation, and so she was definitely not going to be delivering my baby. And it can be really nerve-wracking because you have spent months creating rapport, making a relationship with your provider, and it's really nerve-wracking when someone else comes in the room. They have no idea what your birth wishes are, how you're hoping the whole thing will go. Like, you just don't know each other. So it's really great if there are multiple providers in your practice, which was my second experience. I saw each provider in the practice at least once, if not twice. This made me feel a lot more comfortable about the fact that no matter who delivered my baby, I at least knew each of them. So if this is an option, I highly, highly recommend that you do that. But if nothing else, asking them different questions, having your birth wishes kind of written down, talking with your nurse about your birth wishes are a great idea. To be completely honest, the OBGYN is probably not going to be one of the first people that you interact with at the hospital. Most likely it's going to be your nurse. Your nurse is going to be a very powerful resource for you during your delivery. And it's really important that they know your birth wishes because, to be completely honest, they are probably going to be spending more time with you during your delivery than any of your other providers. Only Fuller House would be able to make this scene both extremely emotional and also hilarious at the same time. I love that they are showing the support people. Obviously it's done in a cheesy way because this is Fuller House, but it really is important to have support people with you, whether that is your partner, a doula, some other friend, someone that's going to be there with you. Sometimes mom likes to have all those people very close. It's just certainly hot, as demonstrated by the cold compresses. Doing things like that is super helpful. Sometimes you just want space. You don't want anyone to be touching you at all, but just having that person available to help you get through that intense contractions is really, really important. I hate to ruin this moment. I literally have goosebumps. I love birth scenes, even when they are cheesy Fuller House birth scenes. But I think it is worth mentioning here that, first of all, it showed the OBGYN there, and then like more laboring, and then there, and just so you are aware, if you are gonna have a baby soon, most of the time the OBGYN is not in there until that very last minute. Now, I have seen births with a midwife and she was there the whole time, so that is a possibility, but just know that not all the time is the person delivering your baby or the doctor the one there like looking at everything, tracking everything with you. A lot of times that is going to be something that the nurse does. The other thing is that Kimmy is in a position that is very common for delivery. She is on her back with feet up in stirrups, and this is how almost every single Hollywood movie ever portrays women in labor, and that's fine because that definitely is an option in a way that we can deliver our babies. What I love about this scene is Kimmy is not flat on her back, and I love that because delivering flat on your back with your feet up in stirrups is actually the highest risk of tearing during delivery. Anytime we can be upright, as Kimmy is here, it's going to allow gravity to help us labor and deliver. It doesn't say here if Kimmy had an epidural or not, but just know that even if you've had an epidural, you can deliver in different positions. You don't have to lay on your back or even be sitting upright like she is. You can roll on your left side, your right side. You could change positions between pushing. There are just a lot of different options. And if you haven't had an epidural, you could do a squatting position, you could do a kneeling position, hands and knees position. So many options here, I guess, is the main thing I'm trying to say. But you really want to practice those positions, know what they are, discuss them with your midwife or OBGYN before you get into the delivery part of birth, because that is kind of last minute to be saying, hey, will you deliver my baby on hands and knees? Although, if there is a problem delivering your baby, baby doesn't want to come out, your nurse or other provider may suggest you change positions, which is always something good to think about beforehand if you can. For Hollywood purposes, this baby is freshly cleaned up, just looks like a little China doll, so perfect. But you should be aware, and your partner also should be aware, that babies do not come out looking totally clean and fresh. They are covered in something white called vernix that is actually really good for their skin. It helps with the adaptation from the inside water world to the outside very dry world for them. And they do look kind of messy. They're covered with a lot of stuff. Your provider may pat some of that off for you, but they don't look quite that good. So just so nobody is shocked when that happens. The other thing is that this is a really unique situation. I love Fuller House, so I know that Kimmy is actually a surrogate for Stephanie. So maybe that's why they didn't do skin to skin right away, or maybe they just didn't show that. But oftentimes, as soon as the baby is delivered, it goes right on mom's chest. That skin to skin is really good for helping the baby adjust to life outside the womb, helping blood sugar balance, helping oxytocin release, just a lot of different benefits for mom and baby. And so often baby will come right out and your skin to their skin be right on your chest. Now, obviously this is a surrogate situation, so that's something I have never experienced. If you know anything more about that, you should definitely comment that below because I'm totally interested. But just know that is an option for you and something you could put in your birth wish list after you have your baby. another life lesson with the Fuller House clan. They just don't stop. Before you take off, I would love to have you comment below with a show or a movie, something you've seen related to pregnancy or birth or anything women's health really that you would love to see featured on this channel. That would be awesome to get some of your suggestions. I'm probably gonna go binge watch some Fuller House now, so I will see you all in the next video.